Hello everyone and welcome to Britball with the Breens, episode number 12. This week we have a bit of a short week this week. There's not many games going on in the fixtures next week, so what we'll do is again we'll go through the results from the weekend because there were some huge games at the weekend. We'll go through the fixtures for next week in Division 2 and that will be our show this week. So we'll start with the results from the week before. So some tasty ones in the Prem North. So the first result, Manchester Titans 17, Tamworth Phoenix 21. Believed Manchester were up 17-0 at one point. Tamworth had came back away from home and sealed the division.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the sign of a championship team as well, isn't it? They go and they win these games. I know it's an old cliche, but you're down by 17. It's a big gap, and managing to get the win, especially when the conference title's on the line. Manchester will obviously be disappointed about that, given that you are 17 points up on a team you shot out previously, a chance to steal the division title, and instead you're now destined to go and play the London Warriors in London.
Yeah, however, we'll come to that later, but the Sheffield result surely helped them get themselves in the playoffs, so that's good. Edinburgh Wolves 47, Leicester Falcons 6. Now, I'd like to say there's no way one player makes that big of a difference to Edinburgh, but when it's Mr. Franchise himself, Jamie Morrison, coming back from Europe, that is a massive swing around.
Yeah, I mean, 47 points to 6 is, well, it's a blowout, compared to the 10-0 game down in Leicester. I mean, we both know how good Jamie is.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me that it made that big of a difference, but that's a huge difference in scoreline, and ultimately, again, when it was on the line, Wolves got the job done to stay in the division.
Yeah, I mean, it's massive turnaround. So, if you did think that's not much of a difference, bravo, Jamie. Sheffield Giants 22, Merseyside Nighthawks 22. Now, this is a poor result for Merseyside because it knocked them out of the playoffs. A really good result for Sheffield. Looks like it was a really good competitive match. 22-22 is a bit of a weird scoreline as well. So Merseyside will be disappointed they've missed out in the playoffs, or maybe they won't, depending.
I mean, you'd like to think they are. They'd put themselves in the driver's seat. They'd been expecting to beat Sheffield, but as we spoke about, with the situation with the Premiership North, every single team had something to fight for. Every single team had something to play for in that division, and that's what it came down to at the end of the day. And although it was a disappointing result for Merseyside, it's a huge result for Sheffield that ultimately relegated Leicester.
Yeah. So that'll be an interesting one to see. I would think that you're right. I think they're probably going to be disappointed, but we'll wait and see. In the Prem South, London Blitz 15, London Olympians 14. I believe this game was called early due to two really bad injuries, but Blitz being run really close again by the Olympians, which is starting to become a thing this season, is that the Blitz are getting run closer by everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, obviously hearing that two serious injuries have ended the game's never good, and hopefully everyone's all right involved in those instances. You never want to see anyone get hurt. Again, as you say, the London Olympians running the Blitz close, which I guess makes some of their other results more disappointing throughout the season, that they weren't able to maybe push for that second spot.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see, because the rest of that division is now bunched up in comparison to what it has been in the last few years, so that'll be interesting for next year. Bristol Aztecs 0, London Warriors 55. I believe Bristol got a bit of a stick online after saying that they were the only team not to concede a burger to London. Well, you've got one now.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, but at 55-0, they probably, again, just London Warriors just look too strong for the rest of this British league just now. But a really good result for Kent Exiles. Kent Exiles 19, Farnham Knights 0. That keeps Kent Exiles in Premiership Division after their rookie campaign, which is a great achievement for them.
Yeah, and it's a solid win. It's a shutout win, 19 points. I'd like to think that Kent's goal for the season was to stay in the Premiership. they've done that. Now they can go and look to build next year.
And they've some junior teams, so they've got a good feed that they can come through. In the NFC 1 North, Northumberland Vikings 16, Aberdeen Roughnecks 6. This game was streamed, obviously we were part of it. Frustrating day. Newcastle's defence was solid. Northumberland's defence was solid. Didn't give us much space at all. They ran the ball really well. Had a few good throws, a few good runs from their quarterback. But most of the damage was done by their number 7. So we just say congratulations to them as they win our division, and get a home game against Shropshire in the next round.
Yeah, I mean they played physical defence. Their run game, as you say, they had a few big runs. When they were backed up and in trouble. They never let it get to them. They obviously knew what was at stake and they got their job done. And obviously congrats again to the Vikings.
Yeah. The other game in that division, Yorkshire Rams 15, Glasgow Tigers 12. I believe Glasgow were winning this until the last minute or so. Great play was showed online, so great play by the Yorkshire Rams to really steal it at the end there at home. So a decent way to round out their season.
Yeah, and I mean it kind of shows the Yorkshire Rams really kind of bounced back throughout the second half. You had Northumberland and EKP all finished in 9-1, and then you had ourselves, Glasgow and Yorkshire, all finishing 4-6. Obviously Gateshead with none, but it kind of shows that level. They got themselves back into where they should be, and they'll be pleased to end the season on a high.
Yeah. The NFC 1 South, Nottingham Caesars 14, Shropshire Revolution 37. Don't know if this is Shropshire making a bit of a statement before the playoffs. They've always had a good defence, but to put 37 up on Nottingham away from home is a great result.
Yeah, and again it was another winning in situation for them basically. Obviously they needed Sandwell to help them out a little bit, but I guess from where we're looking with our always pick Sandwell, that their fate was kind of in their own hands, and it's a good strong win, and they'll be pleased to be going, hopefully be pleased to be going in the playoffs where they'll be making the trip to Northumberland.
Yeah. Speaking of Sandwell, I'd like to say they scraped by Lancashire. Now the scoreline would seem that way, but I believe that the score at one point was 23-0. I could be wrong with that, but looking through score stream and stuff, I believe it was a bit of a hefty scoreline at one point, and then Lancashire came back storming in the second half. All kudos to Lancashire for putting up that many points on Sandwell for a winner, but Sandwell proving themselves to still be the top dogs.
Yeah, well, interesting thing is that I briefly touched on a scenario last week that should Sandwell lose the game and concede X amount of points, then they would actually mean, should they get through the first round of playoffs, then they would have to travel rather than be at home. And given the scoreline, had Lancashire put up 6 more points, that scenario would have came to pass.
Yeah,
and
because
it would have been a massive win for the Vikings that day. But they got the job done. As you say, it sounds like they were up and took guys out. They managed to get the win. They've got the perfect season, and they'll be ready to go looking at the playoffs.
Yeah, be interesting to see what they think of EKP. From what we've seen of EKP, they are capable of putting up points. In the SFC 1 Central, Solent Thrashers 24, Hertfordshire Cheetahs 19. So Solent Thrashers get it done, but not without a fight. In Hertfordshire, obviously fighting for that second playoff spot, have now missed out.
Yeah, and you've got to be gutted for Hertfordshire. In their first season, they've been extremely good this year. They're going into a division with Sussex and Solent, who we both know are very strong teams, very experienced. They will be disappointed. I don't believe for a minute they won't be. But they kind of came down to that game against Solent, and Solent weren't willing to give up that perfect season. It looks like a really competitive game, and Solent again will be really looking to build into the playoffs.
Yeah, and again, great season for them, Hertfordshire, so they need to take all the positives from that. Sussex Thunder 48, Berkshire 12. Sussex seem to be rolling in the points just now, whether that's the teams they're playing against or if they've just found a a bit of rhythm on offense. I'm not sure, but now they've stole that second playoff spot. What damage can they do in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, we've seen their offense. We've spoke highly of their social media presence, and the videos and the highlights they put out are phenomenal. We love them. Helps us. We get to see what they're doing. They are looking scary on offense, particularly sort of number 85. He's looking like
seems to catch a touchdown every week, doesn't he?
Yeah, and not just touchdowns.
One.
He seems to rack up the yards a lot as well. So, you're going to have to assume that that's going to be heavily part of their game plan in the playoffs.
Yeah. The last game in that division, Portsmouth Dreadnoughts 13, Oxford Saints 22. Great win for Oxford. Secures them in the division for the next season, means Berkshire get relegated. But Portsmouth, they've had a good first season in Division 1. They've showed themselves to be competitive, so they can take that positives going into next season as well.
Yeah, well, the priority should always be to survive your first year in any division. You're going to have guys that maybe drop off because they don't want to put in the extra work. However, it's a great job from Portsmouth. Again, they've had a successful year. They've stayed in the division. And from the Oxford Saints point of view, a huge win. And again, it's another example of a team that must win, getting the job done, and they'll be delighted about that.
Yeah, they will. In the SFC1 East, Wembley Stallions 16, Bury Saints 14, which was a bit of a surprise. Wembley have been solid all year. They have been close in pretty much every game they've played. After Bury winning convincingly last week, you do now wonder if the Hornets did rest players last week. But nothing away from Wembley, and their uniforms are spectacular. So a great result for them.
Yeah, Wembley have been in every single game they've played all year, and it's kind of they've missed out in a couple of games that been so close. Whether there was a limited motivation from either team here, I doubt that, to be honest. I think they'll both have been up for winning this game and carrying on. Yeah. It's a strong win for Wembley.
Yeah, it is. And the other game in that division, the Cambridgeshire Cats 29, the Colchester Gladiators 0. Cambridgeshire already got in the playoffs. Strong contenders for those playoffs, I would think. Colchester already relegated, and no, they're not. No, they're not. I'm speaking rubbish because a certain team forfeited. But they will need to regroup for next season, most definitely.
Yeah, I think Colchester have to be worried. They're really going to have to do something for next year. The fact that they should have been relegated had House Valley not forfeited a game. We didn't foresee them getting anything from this game anyway, and the Cambridgeshire Cats put them to bed quite early, I believe. But they really need to find something to improve next year. Yeah,
and I think just before we move on here, I think we need to put a bit of a shout out here, because all the teams that moved from Division 2 to Division 1 have stayed up. Kent have stayed up. The only team that never managed to stay up after being promoted is Leicester. So that's a great turnaround, that almost all the teams have managed to stay up after going up from the division below, which is great for the progress of the game. So bravo to you all. In the NFC2 North, the Dumfries Hunters 6, Clyde Valley Blackhawks 6. A tie from this game secures Clyde Valley's number 3 seed in the playoffs, I believe.
It guarantees them they won the division crown. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they'd have loved to won the game, but all they had to do was get the tie to secure it, and they've done just that. They were always going to struggle to change the points differential. They've still got one game left, and whether they kind of just look towards the playoffs now, thinking they can't really go up to 2 or 1 unless something dramatic happens this week. But these guys know each other well. They've played a lot over the last couple of years. These games are never going to be easy, and at the end of the day, they got the job done enough to secure the crown.
And they were away from home. Yeah. So, NFC2 Central, Nottingham Raiders 20, Leeds Bobcats 40. Now, considering that these teams both might be in the playoffs, or actually they will be, or depending on the Staffordshire's result. Yeah. Leeds are second best team in that division by some way, and they put double the points up in Nottingham. So it's going to be an interesting one there. Halton definitely look like the team in that division.
Yeah. I again, you're sort of looking towards going into the playoffs and, who could face who. And, if my calculations are correct, then there's a high chance Nottingham go in to play Birmingham, and that is a scary thought.
Yeah, that's gads. In NFC 2 South, Crew Railroaders 0, Lincolnshire Bombers 26. I believe this was stopped in the third quarter due to an injury. Lincolnshire just securing their position as one of the strongest teams in Division 2.
Yeah, highly likely they end up as the fourth seed overall, the best runner-up. Obviously disappointing again to hear of an injury. These things happen, it's football, but whoever it was that suffered the injury, hopefully they're alright as well.
Yeah, there was no games in the SFC2 West. SFC2 South, Hastings Conquerors 8, Jurassic Coast Raptors 54.
Dickhead.
Yeah, apparently I'm a dickhead for pointing out a fact that Hastings hadn't scored a single point this season. Although I will give your two teams kudos for one thing, and that is that your refs, your coaches stepped in to be line judges, which is always a good thing to see. So I'll give you that positive. So I'm not a dickhead. Swindon Storm 0, London Blitz B 47. Good end to the season for London. Nothing more they could really do.
No, and kind of just yet another example of the Blitz B being sort of that bit ahead. And again, they'll be looking on to playoff football now.
And in the SFC2 East, I think whoever's streaming should just stream Ipswich's games, like literally every game, because they have been involved in probably the most interesting set of fixtures all year. I think all their games have been high scoring or competitive all the way, and this week they went 40-35 over the East Kent Mavericks.
Yeah, I mean, no defense to see here, I guess. Great, obviously great offensive display. You're right. I think we'd all love to tune in to see Ipswich play this year. 'Cause, especially they've had two ties, one of them being a 31-all draw. Again, looks like they're playing some strong football. Not to mention a bit of a shout out to that kind of FSU style uni, which is pretty slick as well. I believe in the case of one of the scenarios last week, Ipswich winning and Swindon loss means that Ipswich are confirmed in the playoffs as well. So we get to see more excitement from the Cardinals.
Yay! Whatever playoff game that is, get Ipswich.
Somebody get down there.
Get them on the live stream. So lowest percentage of the biggest win there this week, Sheffield Giants. So bravo to, well, it was a draw, so that doesn't really count.
That's cheating.
Oxford
Saints.
Oxford Saints 14%, so that's a great win for them. So that's all the results. There's not many fixtures this week, so we'll rattle through these. See how they stack up. So in the NFC2 North, Clyde Valley Blackhawks are at home to Inverclyde. We're not actually quite sure what Clyde Valley will do here. There's a few scenarios which might mean they rest players. They're already confirmed as the number 3 seed. They can't move up or down unless something crazy happens. So I'm not sure that they will potentially put out their starters for this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think they will. I think, they had a long break. They'll want to be playing football. So they'll probably send their guys out. Obviously, there was a bit of rust last week as well, I'd assume. So they might just want to get the guys out there, try and hammer home some of the stuff that they've introduced in the 5-week break they had. Interesting game, obviously, because Inverclyde, who have also secured the playoffs, have the potential to go into that second spot in the division. Not to mention that if they win the game, they've got that potential to go into the number 5 seed instead of the number 6, which obviously still means they have to travel, but it would ultimately mean, rather than Leeds having to go and play Lincolnshire, Leeds would then have to travel to Clyde Valley, and it really sort of puts the cat in amongst the pigeons there. So be interesting to see what happens with that game. Yeah, and again, well done to Inverclyde for getting the playoffs their first season. The NFC2 Central, Furness Phantoms versus Nottingham Raiders. Nottingham have to win this game if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. I can't see this going anywhere but Nottingham, the way Furness have played this season. Yeah, and you'd think so. I mean, they're obviously putting up points. They're obviously conceding a lot of points as well. They know they have to win. They still don't really control their own fate because they've conceded more points than the Surge. So a lot more points in that note. So they're going to have to get that job done. But yeah, imagine they're also going to be keeping one eye on what happens down in Birmingham.
Yeah. The Halton Spartans versus Morecambe Bay Storm. For the Spartans, really just don't concede too many. Hope that you maybe get the number 1 seed. But other than that, I think this one will be another blowout.
Yeah, I'd agree.
The NFC 2 South, the Birmingham Bulls versus Staffordshire Surge. Staffordshire haven't been the same team this year. Birmingham have been better, so I can only see this one going one way as well. Birmingham again, just don't concede too many that Halton overtake you really.
Yeah, the Surge are obviously a win for the Surge will likely be enough to get them into that number 8 seed. I can't see Birmingham losing this game. They were quite comfortable winners previously. I think they'll get it done again.
Yeah. Lincolnshire Bombers versus the Crewe Railroaders. Again, just happened. So reverse fixture. Lincolnshire, I think, will be too strong this time. They're at home. They know what's at stake. So I think they'll power on and get through this one.
Yeah.
The SFC 1 West, South Wales Warriors. We've not seen them in a few weeks. They're playing the Cornish Sharks. Cornish Sharks' defence this year has been a little bit better, but South Wales will be way too strong for them. Probably put up a fair bit of points here because again they need to make sure that they don't concede too much that London Blitz B overtake them.
Yeah, well, I mean they're sitting in that spot with the Essex Spartans are currently sort of number 1.
Oh yeah, I
in that.
forgot about them. Sorry, Essex.
But the Essex Spartans are playing Ipswich, who are known for high scoring, eventful games.
Get that one on live stream.
So yeah, I want to see this game. If there's anyone down there from either team that wants to kind of get this online, let me know because I'd love to watch that game. Unfortunately, Essex is a bit far for me. But yeah, so the South Wales Warriors kind of have to win the game, concede as few points as possible, and there's every chance they jump all the way into that and sort of up to the number 2, number 1 seed. I'd have to check the points for the Blitz B.
Yeah. The SFC 1 South, Hastings Conquerors versus Bournemouth Bobcats. They played 2 weeks ago. Bournemouth thumped them. Can't see it going any other way, even with Bournemouth away from home.
No,
it's not a huge travel either.
No, I don't see it going any other way than Bournemouth. So I can't see much difference. Maybe Hastings can get another score up this week.
Yeah, Jurassic Coast Raptors versus Swindon Storm. Swindon haven't really got anything to play for, except for I don't think they really want to lose to Jurassic Coast. Jurassic Coast have put up some points in the last 2 weeks, however. I still think Swindon win this one.
Yeah, well, I said 2 weeks ago that Jurassic Coast put up points in the Blitz B. I said that was a worry for Hastings. It turned out I was right. They put up a lot of points against Hastings. I can see them winning this game. I think it'll be, it's going to be tight. There's every opportunity Swindon turn up and blow them away. But you never know. They have put up a fair amount of points the last couple of weeks. Maybe they're able to pull something off.
Yeah. And the last division, SFC 1 East, the East Essex Sabres versus East Kent Mavericks. East Essex Sabres have had their up and downs. East Kent Mavericks have had their up and downs. This might actually be a close match. Let's just hope for loads of points.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't think the Sabres really have been putting up that many points at all. I think the Mavericks will win quite comfortably.
Yeah. Essex Spartans versus Ipswich Cardinals, however, could be a good game. Essex Spartans have been good all season, undefeated. Yeah, we don't know how strong this division actually is. We won't find out until Essex start competing in the playoffs along with Ipswich and Norwich, is it?
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting game though. Ipswich like to put up points, like fighty games, so hopefully they'll give Essex a challenge.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Essex obviously going to try and hold on to that sort of number 1 berth. We know how important it is. Getting that number 1 or 2 spot means you get the whole home field throughout the entirety of the playoffs. Ipswich will also be out to upset the party. I believe they can go above Norwich, but they would need a massive favour from Maidstone, so high likelihood is they still finish in the same spot in that division and Norwich finish second.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Norwich have got something to play for against Maidstone this week. Do we think Maidstone has enough to start troubling them, or do you think Norwich know what they need to do, and that'll be that.
No, Norwich have something to play for, and we spoke highly of Maidstone earlier in the season, sort of making some really positive changes to their programme, coaches, players, experienced heads. It hasn't really translated onto the field
yet,
which is unfortunate, but these things take time. New culture, new coaching, new players, new style of playing. Not this year, but Maidstone will be wanting to put up a strong performance so they can look forward to next season and really putting that into place.
Yeah, and hopefully Maidstone do continue to grow so that we can see what a difference it makes with a bit of extra thing. Okay, so that's all the results and fixtures for next week. We've not changed our power rankings this week. I know that the only thing that will change is Hertfordshire will swap with Sussex for obvious reasons. But it'll be interesting to see what happens when the playoffs finally kick off in a couple of weeks. So that's the 12th episode of Britball with the Breens. We'll get into the playoffs very soon, and we'll see you then. Catch you after.